This is 21 Questions. My name's Mike. I run trivia shows. Thank you for coming to play. Let's go. Question 1. How many signs of the zodiac start with the letter C? There are 2, Cancer and Capricorn. Question 2. Its sport. Was Seve Ballesteros a famous golfer or tennis player? Seve Ballesteros. He was a golfer. Question 3. Which New Zealand-born actor, think Jurassic Park, think the piano, passed away on July 13, aged 78? That's the now late, great Sam Neill. And if you haven't seen an Australian movie called The Dish, I absolutely recommend it. Fantastic movie. He's amazing in it. Question 4 is always a true or false in this podcast. True or false, the singer Cher or Cher, it always feels weird to me to say Cher, but though we used to say Sonny and Cher. But anyway, the singer Cher's mother married and divorced her father 3 times. Is that true? Is that false? That's actually true. I guess they just couldn't make up their minds about each other. Question 5. Which of the following is not a term for a group of kangaroos? Troop, pride, or mob? A pride. We don't say a pride of kangaroos. We do say a mob and we do say a troop sometimes. Question 6. Which Apollo mission featured the first moon landing on July 20, 1969? What number Apollo was it? It was Apollo 11. Now, if you're one of those people that doesn't believe man went to the moon, good for you. You do not need to email me to correct me on that one. I'm fine. I'm fine with it. But yay you, and you go on believing whatever you want to believe. I have no real opinion on it, is the truth, but I imagine we probably did go. I just don't need to participate in that particular discussion right now. I've got stuff to do. Question 7. Which 1939 movie is known for the iconic line, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn"? Now, to people of a certain age, that's very easy. That's Gone with the Wind. And I tested this question on my 23-year-old son, Jake, and he looked at me like I was a car accident. So, after question 7, we do the first clues for the Who Am I for the EP. Today, it's a bit unusual. Who am I? I am a fictional character who first appeared in an American comic book in 1941, in which I saved a group of refugees from a Nazi submarine in my very first adventure. My father was human, but my mother came from a hidden undersea kingdom. I became a founding member of one of the most famous superhero teams ever assembled, and eventually took the throne as king of an undersea nation that stretches across the world's oceans. I don't feel like there's too many choices as to who that could be, so I think you might know it already, but more clues after question 14 if you don't. Question 8. Which part of the human body does the disease trachoma affect? Trachoma affects the eyes. Question 9. Is Gordon Sumner the real first name of Sting from The Police or Bono from U2? That'd be Sting. He is Gordon Sumner. Bono's real name is Paul Hewson. Question 10. In which 2001 animated movie did John Lithgow provide the voice of Lord Farquaad? That would be Shrek, and I only recently found out that Lord Farquaad was based on a Disney executive that the makers of Shrek had beef with. It's worth a Google on that whole situation. It's very interesting. Question 11 is another true or false. True or false? There are more people than sheep in Australia. Is that true? Is that false? Now, that's false. There are more sheep than people. There are around 74 million sheep in Australia and about 28 million people. Did you know, though, Australia in the mid-70s had 170 million sheep, so the national flock is smaller than it was, mostly because we don't need as much wool as we used to. Question 12. What was the last name of the dictator Benito who ruled Italy between 1922 and 1943? He was Benito Mussolini. Question 13. Which 5-letter word is the Spanish word for fox and is also the name of a fictional character, here's a hint, he wore a mask, first seen in 1919? That's Zorro. Question 14. In the cartoons, what's the name of Popeye's girlfriend? That's olive oil. Fun fact, olive oil and Popeye both came from a cartoon strip called Thimble Theatre way back in the 1930s, but olive oil was actually created 10 years before Popeye was. She was seeing a whole other guy before they introduced Popeye into the cartoons. More clues now for the Who Am I. If you remember, it's the comic book superhero. Who am I? I can breathe underwater, swim at incredible speed, and talk to every creature in the sea. In the cartoon that introduced me to an entire generation in the 70s and 80s, my fellow superheroes and subsequently stand-up comedians spent decades mocking me for having the weakest powers in the group. My greatest rival is my own half-brother, who spent years scheming to steal my crown, and my wife is a fellow warrior from my mother's kingdom. Now, do you know who that is yet? Honestly, if I was playing trivia this episode in my car, I would probably guess, because I really only know one or two undersea superheroes. I assume you might be in the same position. Anyway, final clues after question 20 if you need them. Question 15. Which landlocked sovereign city-state has a population of just over 800 people and is the smallest independent state in the world by both area and population? That's the Vatican, or Vatican City. Question 16. In which ocean is Guam? Guam is a tiny little island. It's an American territory. It's in the Western Pacific. It's in the Pacific Ocean, but the western part of it. Question 17. Is vitamin C or vitamin D also known as calciferol? You can tell we're getting towards the end of the episode because the questions are getting a little bit nerdier. Vitamin D is known as calciferol. Question 18. What is the capital of Singapore? The capital of Singapore is Singapore. Good. Question 19. Is it still alive or not so much? I give you a name. You decide if you think that person is still alive or not so much. Today, the American actor Michael Douglas. Think Wall Street, think Fatal Attraction. Is Michael Douglas still alive or not so much? Michael Douglas, he's 81 years old. He is still alive. He's married to Catherine Zeta-Jones. He's in Fatal Attraction and Basic Instinct, and to me those movies are kind of same. I know they're not really, but they're kind of linked in my head. Question 20 is always a music question in this podcast. Today, name either of the artists to have an album called Tapestry in the 1970s. Well, Carole King's most famous album is probably Tapestry, and Don McLean's first album was also called Tapestry. There you go. Final clues now for the Who Am I? It's the American comic book character, lives under the sea, or can certainly get along very well under the sea. Who am I? In 2018, I finally got my own standalone film. It made more than $1 billion worldwide and turned me from a punchline into one of the biggest stars in my studio's lineup. I was played in that film and quite a few others by Jason Momoa, although he's now stepped away from the role. I am Aquaman. Jason Momoa will no longer be playing Aquaman. There'll be a new Aquaman actor. That's hard to say, but there will be. And Jason Momoa will be playing the intergalactic bounty hunter Lobo in the DC universe going forward. So says my son Jake, and you don't want to argue with him because he's a Taekwondo black belt. Time now for the player questions. That's where you, the listener, can send me a trivia question to add into the show. I'm actually thinking about adding these into the show itself rather than as a self-contained bit at the end of the show going forward. Let me know what you think about that idea. Last episode, Tony and Helen sent in, is a cockchafer a snake, a bird, or an insect? It's a real thing, a cockchafer. A cockchafer is an insect. It's colloquially known as the maybug, and it's a species of scarab beetle. There you go. This ep, Jason has sent in, La Gioconda is the alternative name of which famous painting? La Gioconda. Okay, thanks Jason. We'll have a look at that and I will give everyone the answer to that next ep. Alrighty, that is 21 questions done for another episode. If you could follow this podcast on the app that you're listening to right now, that would be awesome. We're on YouTube now as well. If you'd like to see me flounder my way through these episodes rather than just listen, you can do that if you want to. This podcast comes out every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Meet me back here in a couple of days. We'll have another crack at it. I've been Mike van Acker. I love you. Catch you next time.